Hey, Akhil here from akhiltoday.com. Welcome to chapter number 6 from the book The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, written by Robin Sharma. And the name of the chapter 6 is The Wisdom of Personal Change. He started with a powerful quote: I am an artist at living, my work of art is my life. I am an artist at living, my work of art is my life, said by Suzuki. True to his word, Julian showed up at my home the next evening at about 7:15 p.m. I heard 4 quick knocks on the front door of my house, a Cape Cod design with awful pink shutters, which my wife believed made our house look like something out of the Architectural Digest. Julian himself looked strikingly different than he had the day before. He still embodied radiant health and exuded a wonderful sense of calm. It was what he was wearing that made me a little uncomfortable. Adorning his obviously supple body was a long red robe topped by an ornately embroidered blue hood, and thought it was another sticky night in July, and the hood covered his head. Greetings, my friend, Julian offered enthusiastically. Greetings. Don't look so alarmed. What did you expect me to wear? Armani? Armani? We both started to laugh softly at first. Soon our giggles had turned to guffaws. Julian certainly had not lost that weak sense of humor that had kept me entertained so long ago. As we relaxed in my cluttered but comfortable living room, I could not help but notice that ornate necklace of wooden prayer beads dangling from his neck. What are those? They are really beautiful. More about this later, he said, rubbing some of the beads with his thumb and index finger. We have much to talk about tonight. Let's get started. I could hardly get anything done at work today. I was so excited about our meeting. Hearing his interest, his cue, a trigger point, Julian immediately started to reveal more about his personal transformation and the ease with which it was effected. He told me of the ancient techniques he had learned for mind control and for erasing the habit of worry that was consuming so many in our complex society. He spoke of the wisdom that Yogi Raman and the other monks had shared for living a more purposeful and rewarding life. And he spoke of a series of methods to unleash the wellspring of youthfulness and energy. He said, every one of us has slumbering deep inside of us. True, though the conviction was with which he spoke was clear, I began to grow skeptical. Was I the victim of some prank? After all, this Harvard-trained lawyer was once widely known within the firm for his practical jokes. As well, his story was nothing less than fantastic. Think about it. One of these country's best-known trial lawyers throws in the towel, sells all his worldly goods and treks off to India on a spiritual odyssey only to return as a wise prophet from the Himalayas. This could not be real. Come on, Julian, stop pulling my leg. This whole story is starting to smack one of your gags. I'll bet you rented that robe from the costume shop across the street from my office. I suggested, breaking into my best fear grin. Julian was quite quick to respond, as if my disbelief was something he had expected. In court, how do you prove your case? He asked the question. I offer persuasive evidence. Right. Look at the evidence that I have offered you. Look at my smooth, lineless face. Look at my physique. Can't you sense the abundance of energy I have? Look at my peacefulness. Surely you can see that I have changed. He had a point. This was a man who only a few years ago had looked decades older. You didn't go to a plastic surgeon, did you? No, he smiled. Then only focus on the outer person. They only focus on the outer person. I needed to be healed from within. My unbalanced, chaotic lifestyle left me in great distress. It was much more than a heart attack that I suffered. It was a rupture of my inner core. But your story, it is so mysterious and unusual. Julian remained calm and patient in the face of my persistence. Spotting the pot of tea I had left on the table next to him, he started to pour into my waiting cup. He poured until the cup was full, but then he kept on pouring. Tea started to trickle down the sides of the cup and into the saucer, and then onto my wife's prized Persian rug. At first, I watched silently. Then I could not take it anymore. Julian, what are you doing? My cup is overflowing. No matter how hard you try, no more will go in. I yelled impatiently. He looked at me for a long moment. Please don't take this the wrong way. I really respect you, John. I always have. However, just like this cup, you seem to be full of your own ideas. And how can any more go in until you are first empty your cup? The first step you need to do is empty your cup. I was struck by the truth of his words. He was right. My many years in the conservative legal world doing the same things every day with the same people who thought the same thoughts every day had filled my cup to the brim. My wife Jenny was always telling me that we should be meeting new people and exploring new things. I wish you were just a little more adventurous, John, she would say. I could not remember the last time I had read a book that didn't deal with law. The profession was my life. I began to realize that the sterile world I had grown accustomed to had dulled my creativity and limited my vision. Okay, I see your point, I admitted. Perhaps all my years as a trial lawyer have made me a hardened skeptic. From the minute I saw you in my office yesterday, something deep inside me told me that your transformation was genuine and that there was some sort of lesson in it for me. Maybe I just didn't want to believe it. John, tonight is the first night of your new life. I simply ask that you think deeply about the wisdom and the strategies that I will share with you and apply them with conviction. Apply them with conviction for a period of 1 month, 30 days. Embrace the methods with a deep trust in their effectiveness. There is a reason why they have survived for thousands of years. They work. 1 month seems a long time. 672 hours of inner work to profoundly improve your every waking moment of the rest of your life is quite a bargain, don't you think? Every waking moment of the rest of life will be improved if you spend 672 hours of your inner work. Don't you think? Investing in yourself is the best investment you will ever make. Investing in yourself is the best investment you will ever make. It will not only improve your life, it will improve the lives of all those around you. How is that? It is only when you have mastered the art of loving yourself that you can truly love others. It's only when you have opened your own heart and that you can touch the hearts of others. When you feel centered and alive, you are in a much better position to be a better person. What can I expect to happen in those 672 hours that comprise 1 month? I asked earnestly. You will experience changes within the workings of your mind, body, and soul that will astonish you. You will have more energy, more enthusiasm, and inner harmony that you have had in perhaps your entire life. People will actually begin telling you that you look younger and happier. A lasting sense of well-being and balance will swiftly return to your life. These are just some of the benefits of the Shivanan system. Wow. All of the what you will hear tonight is designed to improve your life not just personally and professionally, but spiritually as well. The advice of the sages is just as current today as it was 5,000 years ago. It will not only enrich your inner world, it will enhance your outer world and make you far more effective in all that you do. This wisdom is truly the most potent force I have ever encountered. It is straightforward, practical, and has been tested in the laboratory of life for centuries. Most importantly, it will work for anyone. But before I share this knowledge with you, I must ask you for a promise. I knew there would be strings attached. There are no free lunches. My loving mother used to say, there are no free lunches. Once you see the power of the strategies and skills down to me by the sages of Sivana and observe the dramatic results they will bring to your life, you must make it your mission to pass this wisdom on to others who will benefit from this knowledge. This is all what I ask of you. This is a beautiful commitment that Julian asked John. Whatever you learn from me, you need to share this wisdom to the needy. By agreeing to this, you will help me fulfill my own pact with Yogi Raman. I agreed without reservation. Julian began to teach me that the system he had come to consider as sacred. While the techniques that Julian had mastered during his stay were varied, at the heart of the Shivanan system were 7 basic virtues, 7 fundamental principles that embodied the keys of self-leadership, personal responsibility, and spiritual enlightenment. These 7 principles will definitely work in everyone of life. And it is very important to follow these 7 principles. Julian told me that Yogi Raman was the first to share the 7 virtues with him after a few months in the Shivana. On a clear night, when all the others had drifted off into the deep slumber, Raman knocked softly on the door of the Julian's hut. In the voice of a gentle guide, he spoke his mind. I have observed you closely for many days now. Julian, I believe that you are a decent man who deeply desires to fill his life with all that is good. Since you have arrived, you have opened yourself up to our traditions and embraced them as your own. You have learned a number of our daily habits and have seen there are many salutary effects. You have been respectful of our ways. Our people have lived this simple, peaceful life through countless ages, and our methods are known to but a few. The world needs to hear our philosophy on enlightened living. Tonight, on the eve of your 3rd month in Shivana, I will begin to share the inner workings of our system with you, not only for your benefit, but for the benefit of all those in your part of the world. I will sit with you daily as I sat with my son when he was a child. Sadly, he passed on a few years ago. His time had come, and I do not question his exit. I enjoyed our time together and cherished the memories. I now see you as my son. I feel grateful that all I have learned over many years of silent contemplation will live on with you. All the years of silent contemplation will live on within you. I looked at Julian and noticed that his eyes were now shut, as if he were transporting himself back to this fairy tale land that he had showered the blessings of knowledge on him. Yogi Raman told me the 7 virtues for a life overflowing with inner peace, joy, and a wealth of spiritual gifts were contained within a mystical fable. This fable was the essence of it all. He asked me to shut my eyes as I have now done, here on the floor of your living room. He then told me to picture the following scene in my mind's eye. Close your eyes and just listen to words for this one paragraph, and just imagine whatever the Julian suggesting us in his words. You are sitting in the middle of a magnificent, lush, green garden. Suppose you are sitting in the green garden. This garden is filled with the most spectacular flowers you have seen. The environment is supremely tranquil and silent. Savor the sensual delights of this garden and feel as if you have all the time in the world to enjoy this natural oasis. As you look around, you see that in the center of this magical garden stands a towering red lighthouse. 6 stories high, 6 floors it is having. Suddenly, the silence of the garden is disturbed by a loud creaking as the door at the base of the lighthouse opens. Out stumbles a 9 foot tall, 900-pound Japanese sumo wrestler who casually wanders into the center of the garden. As this sumo wrestler starts to move around the garden, he finds a shiny gold stopwatch with which someone had left behind many years earlier. And he slips it on and the falls onto the ground with an enormous thud. The sumo wrestler is rendered unconscious and lies there silent and still. Just when you think he has taken his last breath, the wrestler awakens, perhaps stilled by the fragrance of some fresh yellow roses blooming nearby. Energized, the wrestler jumps swiftly to his feet and intuitively looks to his left. He is startled by what he sees. Though through the bushes at the very edge of the garden, he observed a long, winding path covered by millions of sparkling diamonds. Something seems to instruct the wrestler to take the path, and to his credit, he does. This path leads him down the road of everlasting joy and eternal bliss. By this time, John said, "It's get better," chuckled Julian. The Japanese sumo wrestler is almost totally naked. He has a pink wire cable covering his private parts. After hearing this strange tale high atop the Himalayas, seated next to a monk who had seen the torchlight of enlightenment firsthand, Julian was disappointed. Quite simply, he thought he was going to hear something earth-shattering knowledge that would stir him into action, perhaps even more him into tears. Instead, all he heard was a silly story about a sumo wrestler and a lighthouse. Yogi Raman detected his dismay. Never overlook the power of simplicity, Julian was told. Never overlook the power of simplicity. This story may not be the sophisticated discourse that you expected, said the sage, but there is a university of sensibility in its message and a purity in its purpose. From the day you arrived, I have thought long and hard as to how I would share our knowledge with you. At first, I considered giving you a series of lectures over a period of months, but realized that this traditional approach was ill-suited to the magical nature of the wisdom you are about to receive. I then thought of asking all of my brothers and sisters to spend a little time with you every day, tutoring you in our philosophy. However, this too was not the most effective way for you to learn what it is we have to tell. After great deliberation, I finally arrived at what I thought was a very creative yet highly effective way to share the entire system of Shivana with its 7 virtues, and that is this mystical fable. The sage added, at first it might seem to be frivolous and perhaps even childish, but I assure you that every element of the fable embodies a timeless principle for radiant living and has great depth of meaning. The garden, the lighthouse, the sumo wrestler, the pink wire cable, the stopwatch, the roses, and the winding path of diamonds are symbols of 7 timeless virtues. Remember, again, 7 elements are explained in the simple story. The garden, the lighthouse, the sumo wrestler, the pink wire cable, the stopwatch, the roses, and the winding path of diamonds are the 7 symbols of 7 timeless virtues for enlightened life. I can also assure that if you remember this little story and the fundamental truths that it represents, you will carry within you all that you need to know to rise your life to its highest level. You will have all the information and strategies you will need to profoundly influence the quality of your life and the lives of all those you touch. And when you apply this wisdom on your daily basis, you will change mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Please write this story deep into your mind and carry it within your heart. If possible, listen to this story again and again and again. It will only make a dramatic difference if you embrace it without a reservation. Luckily, John, said Julian, I did embrace it. Carl Jung once said that your vision will become clear only when you can look into your heart. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakens? Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakens? On that very special night, I looked deep into my heart and awakened to the secrets of the ages for enriching the mind, cultivating the body, and nourishing the soul. It is now my turn to share them with you. See you in another chapter. And before that, I request you to recollect the story of 7 virtues and a small garden and the red lighthouse, the sumo wrestler, the pink wire cable where he covered his private parts, and the stopwatch, the roses, yellow roses, and the winding path of diamonds, which showed the path of enlightenment. See you in another story. Until then, stay connected, keep progressing.